Hi everyone, here I am at my school because I have my stepmother actually babysitting at home, so I have a difficulty finding a quiet place in order to record that video. So here I am to introduce Module 4. So you'll see that there is nothing to post for the first learning engagement activity. Actually, the activity is only on module in the module notes. So you just click here, access the module notes. Then you see there's something that you have to think about, but then you go on to the second learning engagement activity, which is pretty important for our unit plan. So we want to build inquiry questions, and you'll see that there are two sections in the unit plan where we develop inquiry questions. Here, in that first part, in the inquiry section, actually, we will build inquiry questions focused on the key and the related concepts, and also on the global context and exploration. So this is something that the teachers from other subject could be interested in, like studying the same questions in their subject, or this is something also that we can like transfer in later projects and activities like in the future years. So this is not focused on mathematics, although there are a few global context explorations which are more linked to mathematics, so it's okay, but basically it's not linked directly to our topic. But we will take that idea and focus on our topic in the action section of the unit plan. So I'll show you how just in a few seconds. So here it's not like that it is presented now, and you'll see it through the module, but in the content section. But sometimes, depending, we can also ask questions in the learning process and learning experiences and teaching strategies. But in that part, you will take your inquiry questions and you will link it to the mathematics, and then you will be able to ask like more precise questions. So the first part of the unit plan is something that the other teachers will read and perhaps say, hey, I'm studying like this, using the same global context exploration, let's do something together. So it fosters interdisciplinary projects and activities, whereas in the second part we are really focusing like our like day-to-day teaching of mathematics. So we will of course link it to our topic. So so there are three types of questions. Factuals is really like focus on the what, when. Okay, so questions, you'll see that it goes from the inquiry questions, and when we add the topic, it goes in the action section. So it's something which is very important about the unit plans. Same thing with the conceptual questions, where it would be more like how and why that we use, and debatable questions, which is something that is really easy to understand actually. So you develop at least one of these questions for the first part, which is the inquiry section of the unit plan, and then you will add your topic and use these same questions in the action section of the unit plan. So you can use lines of inquiries if you want, so you can read all of that. It's really like clear. I will go directly here in the unit plan, so you understand that we had built like the statement of inquiry based on the concepts and the global context exploration. So here you can like, well, you can pose the questions, but you will have to copy paste these questions to your unit plan here. So factual, conceptual, and debatable question. That part was done before here as well. So what we want to do here is that in the action section of the unit plan, in the content, or here, it depends. We can ask the questions like inquiry question 1, let's say. We can either like write it here, but sometimes we just like write the topic here on the left, and then we ask the questions here, and then we state like the learning engagement activities linked to that questions. So that therefore we see, and the teaching strategy, so therefore we see how it's done. So either you ask a question in the content question, and then in line you do it here, just to the right, you do the activities that we will have to that we will do with the students, where don't forget that the student is at the center of our teaching, of the activity of its learning, actually, of its learning. So the students is student-centered. So we ask a question and we see how we'll develop that question in the unit. Of course, you will not write everything that is linked, because I'm presenting like pretty much the whole fourth module, but you will not like everything that you say and do in class. So in this part, if you read the title, is Teaching Learning Through Inquiry. So everything that we do, which is not like clearly focused on the IB philosophy and inquiry based learning, we might like summarize it, but it's not the main thing here. Here we want to do how you implement the MYP program in your class. So this is what we should see, and it includes also the assessment. So as I said, either you do that here, you ask a question. Well, I want to just show you when you get to the second question. So you ask a second question, and then if you ask a question on the left, then you don't have to ask the same question. You just can put it in line in here. Let's say down we'll write the questions associated with the inquiry questions. And the other thing that we will see as well, and I will go to the next learning engagement activity actually. Once we've done that, which is the inquiry questions, which is here, then we go to the next learning engagement activity, which is the third one. And then we want to focus on the approaches to learning skills. So we had chosen approaches, at least one approach to learning skill indicator that we have created here. And then we want to develop that skill. So it's not only to say that the students use that skill, it's that they develop that skill, and how, and what are the things that I am going to what activities that I will present to my students in order to clearly develop that skills. So this will also go here in the action section actually, because if let's say that the ATL skills might have here for the ATL skill that we want, let's say that there's only one, but it doesn't matter. Let's say that let's say that I have that skill, then here I can also do the activity. So normally we'd like to have an explicit activity, learning engagement activity, to develop that skill. So we might not do it directly within the topic. Sometimes we don't even use mathematics. We are just like focusing on that skill, just using the skill in a context which is not related to our, at least to our activity in mathematics. And then we will probably do a second activity somewhere where it would be more implicit, because it would be like transferring what we have just learned, that skill, that strategy which we want to develop, and then we transfer it in another activity within mathematics. Normally we try to do it like more formatively, and of course it is like expected that in the summative task, which is our grasp task, there will be transfer eventually, okay, of that skill in the summative task. But here I'm writing it like this, but normally we can go back and forth like to the inquiry questions about our topic and concepts and global context declaration and skills. But these are all things that we want to do in the MYP program. So we would like put it chronologically, but as you see, it's like in line, like from left to right. And then for each of these activities, we would like to say how we would assess it formatively. So we will build here the strategy for that one, for that activity. So it's really like focused, not something which is really general, which is like what I would always do is like for that learning engagement activity, how would you evaluate, assess it formatively, and so on. And then same thing with the second inquiry question. And then for the differentiation, it's the same thing. is how could I differentiate for my learning engagement activity 1. Normally we will do that basically for the stronger students, to give them challenges, and also we will perhaps like plan scaffolding for the students who have difficulty and what we could do for that, and we can also like focus on a specific student and to say like, for that kid what would I do because he has that difficulty, and I have to adapt the task in order for that student to be included. So this is the planning that we want to do. So for each activity we like complete, this is the main part. Of course we will have to show the resources and to here are questions that you can think about in order to reflect upon your planning of the unit plans. But we will not like in that workshop focus on the reflection part. So you can just add here your resources, and basically you'll have like all of that part of the unit plan completed at that point. So going back to that module 3, in the learning experiences, what we want to do is to develop at least 3 inquiry-based learning experience. You can focus on specific learning skills, and one can be included in the other. That is perhaps the main point, but I think I would suggest to keep it simple, just to focus on what you need, what activities would really like be inquiry based, and if the ATL skills is developed within it, then write it. If it's developed like aside, just write it as well. Okay, and it might not be completed in this workshop, but you understand that eventually you will add more details, and also you will add details like summarize everything else that you are going to do. So I can see like how your unit plan like develops through time. So this is basically the point. But also remember, the idea is to keep in mind, to plan, to explicitly like include MYP philosophy in your class. And then because if we don't do that, we might like teach a topic and forget about like all of these MYP elements, which are important. For the fourth learning engagement activity, just an introduction to MYP assessments and assessments. So just to see the video and to comment about that. So it's pretty straightforward. And for the last learning engagement activity, here I really would say that take care, because in the module notes it's not up to date. You'll see that, sorry, I'm going to the assessment. You'll see about that. There are suggestions in order to take information. In the middle year programs, you have either the personal project or the community project, depending if you go until year 5, where you will do the personal project. But actually, you can do both. In a school, we can at our school we are doing like the community project in 4th year, and then the personal project in the 5th year. So it's possible to do both. But the thing here is that there was only one guide for the 2 before, so you'll see that somewhere here, MYP project guide. But this is not up to date. So you'll see here in my post, I have posted the 2 new guides, which might be updated very soon again, because they just have been published in the spring. Well, a few months ago. So about here, it's not the. I just put the wrong guide. Actually, I wanted to do the community project guide, so I'll just update that just after that video. So you have a personal project guide, and also you have a community project guide now. It's like 2 separate guides. So just take care about that. Once again, if you have questions, I'm available here in the virtual meetings. And the last thing that you have to do, and I'm ending with that, is that in the conclusion part here, you can do a final reflection on what you want to keep in your teaching. So I hope that this has been helpful, and I'm looking forward to reading what you